Okay.
Aaronson.
Just letting people filter in here. We'll give it just a minute. Just hang with us. Maybe we'll let everybody filter in as they go because we have a lot to cover today. So I feel like we should just get started. What do you think?
I think that might be a good idea.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Thought Leadership webinar on leveraging marketing in uncertain times. I think we can all agree right now is a very uncertain time for a lot of businesses. Not only are we scrambling to adjust to remote work and collaboration, but we're also adapting to meet the moment for our buyers. What are their concerns? How are they interacting with us? What can we provide and how can we provide it in a way that helps convert more leads into customers? You as marketers recognize that the pressure is on right now because when there's a crisis, who do they turn to? Marketing. So today we have a lot of tactics and tips to share with you that highlight the answers to these important questions. But first, some really quick housekeeping stuff. For Zoom purposes, just make sure you're muted. If you have any questions, feel free to enter those into the chat box and we'll get to those at the end. No worries about getting crazy with notes or anything. I'm going to be sending a follow-up email to you within 24 hours of this presentation. It'll have all the relevant links. It'll have this recording, all that good stuff. So you can kind of kick back and just listen. So many of you already know me, but in case you don't, my name is Deneen. I'm the Director of Marketing at Technology Advisors. And with me today, I have a very special guest, Sophie Salzman. She's the Principal Channel Account Manager at HubSpot. Technology Advisors is a certified HubSpot partner for those customers of ours who aren't aware. Because like many others, we see the value in powerful marketing, and HubSpot is the leader in that. So we all know that now is the right moment to focus on powerful marketing initiatives, and we're really excited to be able to help our customers make those initiatives a reality for themselves. All right, we're going to hit on our agenda super fast because seriously, so much to cover. It's crazy. Quick overview, starting by looking at some recent trends. Then we're going to dive into some topics around inbound. We'll discuss targeting buyer personas and meeting them where they are right now, which is online. And then finally, we're just going to introduce you to some upcoming events that will also be really helpful for your marketing development. And we'll throw out some information on how we can help anybody who would like some more personalized advice and assistance with this stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to Sophie, and she's going to take us through our first two agenda items. Sophie, floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Deneen, and nice to meet all of you. Thanks for joining on this, what is it? Today is a Wednesday, right? On this Wednesday. So I think I speak for everyone when I say that this is a bizarro world. I mean, really, really bizarre, right? Everything has changed. People are totally acting different than they usually are. And it is just something that I don't think any of us would expect back in December when the holidays were coming, that this would have happened. And, let's think about it for a second, right? People are not anymore going to big events. Instead, people are eating at a salad place, in cubicles. They are wearing masks. They are, again, eating out in a very strange way, or they are getting their hair cut with a mask on. Things have changed. Times are weird, but people are getting really creative. And because the world is changing around us, many companies that we speak to are struggling to adapt, right? Struggling to pivot. But it's really, really important because in order to build relationships, you need to find gaps in your pipelines, and you're going to have to figure out, hey, how are we going to do this? It's really, really hard, right? So I want you to all think about, kind of take a step back and ask yourself, how did you build relationships before COVID? How did you build relationships with prospects, with qualified leads? Even further, even with your current customers, how did you get those relationships even stronger? And before COVID, I think I speak for a lot of you where you probably attended networking events, or you met with people in your office, or you attended conferences and trade shows, you had on-site visits to your client's workplace, maybe you met for lunch, maybe you traveled for an important meeting. Everything, at least a lot of things were face-to-face. But now that's hard to do. Travel was shut down. People have different levels of anxiety and fear around the virus. So these face-to-face meetings pretty much came to a crashing halt, right? We can't shake hands. We can't sit down for coffee like we used to. And so companies have been left to figure out, holy crap, how are we going to survive? And now companies are really needing to rely on their software and on their digital marketing efforts to make these connections, to make it personalized. And what we've noticed here at HubSpot is we have about 80,000 customers. And so we took data from all of those 80,000 customers. And not surprisingly, there are a couple big marketing trends that I think are really important for us to all think about. The first being that marketing outreach has increased to a historic high, in and around about 34% above pre-COVID benchmarks. And you're going to see that, right? Here's like towards the end of August. This is before COVID on the left-hand side. So we're seeing companies turn to marketing efforts more and more and send more and more emails. But it's not that they're just sending those emails. You'll notice also that that open rate is much higher than pre-COVID. And that's because people are sitting in front of their TV. They're checking their email. They're online. They're watching Netflix. People are doing everything at one place. So it's much easier for them to quickly, look at that email that you're sent and get some information. Let's look at another trend in marketing. Web traffic has trended above the pre-COVID levels for 27 consecutive weeks. It's in an almost 30% higher than it was before COVID. What does this mean? It means that customers are turning to business websites for information about their company's services and products more than ever before. So you really need to have a dynamic, a personalized website. This is something that we're going to talk about in order to survive, because you don't have that face-to-face connection. And better yet, when they're on this website, they're actually initiating conversations with these companies because, again, they can't do it face-to-face, right? So what we've seen is that chat volume and conversation interactions has soared with multiple teams using chat to qualify and engage leads, to provide customer support, and to really grow their pipelines. So if you aren't where the buyer is, you are losing out. And again, this chart shows that here. Now, one step further, we Qualtrics actually did an analysis. And they looked at, factors that make consumers trust brands more in the midst of COVID. And there are a few things, right? How much does a brand or a company take care of their employees? How much do they take care of their customers? Another one is, how often do they communicate in a transparent and timely manner? Or do they respond to the crisis in a really good way? And some of my favorite is, do they demonstrate expertise in their industry? Have they established a track record of responding well and being the leader in responding well to pandemics? So I want you to keep this in mind because these stats are real. This is what we're seeing, and we need to be able to help companies adapt and pivot knowing this. So moral of the story, right, is that your customers and leads may not want to shake your hand right now, but that doesn't mean they don't want your help. That doesn't mean they don't want to do business with you. So what do we need to do? Again, we need to demonstrate how quickly you can adapt and how you will continue to support your client base no matter what's happening in the world, because that's going to help you secure existing customers and acquire new ones. So we really need to embrace this adaptability idea as a long-term strategy that should open up new channels for your customers to work with you now and in the future. And the most important part I want to mention is that digital isn't going away. In fact, COVID-19 has arguably, and there's some studies out there, has made digital more present, about 6 years more present. So it would have probably taken us 6 years to get to where we are in the digital space now. Now companies have had to be digital. So it's really integral to client relations and lead generation and conversion strategies. So the question then becomes, right? All right, so how do I build relationships in a crisis? And here's some ways we can do that. There's many different channels we can tap into. Social media, blogging, email campaigns, marketing and sales automation that is personalized, chatbots and live chat, video conferences, virtual events. But notice what all of these are. These are all online, every single one of them. And the companies that have a digital presence and do it well are the ones that are surviving and are actually turning COVID-19 on its head and taking advantage of it and growing their business even better. So everything has changed, right? So what is next for us? Well, we gotta make sure that your online story is profound, is meaningful. And so I want you guys to think about when is the last time you updated your own website? When is the last time you updated your LinkedIn page or your Facebook page or your Twitter page? What are you doing to help potential customers and consumers with their challenges? Are you putting out any helpful and thought leadership information? How are you dedicating your resources to support your employees as well as your customers? Because we saw that was really important. And then even what are your competitors doing and what are they not doing? And whatever they're not doing, we should be doing because that's going to help us rise to the top. So really think about these questions and ask yourself these. Because if you do, you'll be doing the hard work and that's going to pay off. Okay, so now what? Everything's changed. Everyone's online. You know, you've heard me say this now 800 times. Well, we clearly have a problem. And the problem is that we need to get in front of more people because we can't do that face-to-face. So we need to increase brand awareness. So HubSpot, which is the leading inbound methodology company for your sales, marketing, and even your customer service efforts, we coined this idea of an inbound approach to growing your business. And we believe that inbound, and I'm not sure how many of you know what inbound is, but we believe that inbound is a better way to grow your business and to grow your business quicker, more efficiently, and more soundly. So I want you to think about your own self and your current behaviors and thoughts as I describe the inbound methodology. When you go ahead and you make a purchasing or behavioral decision, you're probably going to ask your friends, your family, maybe you're going to go online and do some research. I don't blame you. I do the same thing, right? You're not going to listen to any old salesperson call you up and say, hey, you should really get this. It's like, hey, I have the internet now. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to read. I'm going to look at reviews. So it's really important for companies to build lasting relationships with people and help them reach their goals, because that's going to drive that word of mouth. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So the inbound methodology is an approach for growing your organization by building these meaningful and lasting relationships with people. It's about making people feel valued and empowered to reach their goal at every stage of their journey with you. It's about attracting the right people with valuable and thought leadership content and conversations that establish you and your company as a trusted advisor in this industry and is someone that they want to engage with. So how I like to think about inbound, make it really, really easy. It's all about providing value, building trust. And if you can do those two things, and we're going to talk about how you can do those, then when someone is ready to make that purchasing or behavioral decision, going with your company is a no-brainer because you are seen as very knowledgeable. You are seen as very helpful in times of crises and in times, maybe in times that there isn't a huge crisis going on. But you're knowledgeable about your industry, about your product, about your services, and you have built the trust. So that's the winning formula here, and everything we do here at HubSpot kind of matches that inbound methodology. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat pane. I'm going to keep going here, though. So being more inbound then, right, means transforming your marketing strategies into educating strategies, and then turning your sales process into a valuable service. Okay, so you're not feeling like someone's just selling you. They're providing value. They're helping you solve your challenges. They're helping you meet your goals and meet your needs so that you can get to where they are. That's a service. That's not selling, right? So if I asked you guys, what would your customers say about you and your services? Think about what you would say. I've asked, what attracted them to your services in the first place, to your offerings? How have you engaged with them? How have you delighted them so that they tell their friends and their colleagues? And would they even tell their friends and their colleagues? Word of mouth is more important than ever. So with that in mind, the traditional way of thinking about how someone moves throughout the buyer's journey, and I'll get to the buyer's journey in a minute, but the traditional way is someone moves from marketing to sales to customer service, right? And they become a customer. And the customer is at the bottom of the funnel. Here at HubSpot, we kind of scratch our head at that. And we say, everything these days needs to be customer-centric, prospect-centric, lead-centric, contact-centric. I don't care really what it is. The people are in the middle. And everything you're doing needs to be revolving around that person. So you want to be attracting strangers, turning them into prospects. You then are going to want to engage these prospects to turn them into customers. And then you want to take these customers, give them such a great experience, delight them so much so that they tell promoters. And if you can do that, what starts to happen is we call it the flywheel. This flywheel starts to spin faster and faster. And that's because everyone is working towards a common good. All of your marketing efforts, all of your sales efforts, even your customer service efforts are working together to support your business from growing faster and faster and growing better and better. There's not as much friction. And if you can get your flywheel spinning, boy, you are on a really good path. Here at HubSpot, we believe that our best salespeople, our biggest marketing assets, hands down, are our customers. Why? Because you might go ahead and tell someone who knows nothing about HubSpot to them. They're going to go online. They're going to read a helpful article that we have. They're going to start to trust us on about marketing or about sales strategies. And our flywheel is going to spin faster and faster. So because the way people purchase changes and the way people buy things changes, the way you sell, the way you market must change as well. So the trick, really, bringing it back to inbound marketing, the trick for inbound marketers has become figuring out what is the best type of content and value for your target audience, and where and when do you deliver it for maximum engagement. So you want to, let me keep going here. You want to add value before you extract value. And that's how you get the likes. So when you're thinking about your inbound strategy, there are, three main things I want you to be thinking about. First is, who is your customer? Second is, what do they care about? And third is, how and or why do they want to work with you? You need to ask these questions to develop a really good inbound strategy, which is going to help you inevitably increase your pipeline and increase sales during times like these. People want value. They don't want to be sold. All right, cool, Sophie. What's next, though? These are the steps that we're going to talk about how you can do just that. First and foremost is developing your buyer personas. Second is developing a buyer-centric content and promotion strategy. And in these times where everything is online, that means specifically focusing on three areas: your website, your blog, and your calls to actions and valuable offers on your website and in your emails. And even on the phone with people, you can talk to these. Maybe it's an ebook or a data sheet or a checklist or a consultation or a webinar. And then, heck, make it easy for them to work with you by enabling them to connect with you on their terms when they're ready to talk through live chat, quickly following up with them if they They fill out your contact us page. How can we help you? And I can guarantee you that if you don't have an inbound marketing strategy, you will be falling behind because your competitors are doing this. And being personalized, being tailored, providing value is how you are going to increase sales in an uncertain time. So let's talk about, and let's break it down. What is a buyer persona? That was the first stage, right? So a buyer persona is, did I go back? Let me just go back here. A buyer persona are semi-fictional, generalized human representations of your ideal customers. Okay, that's a lot of big jargony words, but essentially what buyer personas are is who your target customers and their demographics and who you want to go after. And this will help you by figuring this out. This will help you focus your time on the qualified prospects, guide them through the buyer's journey, because those are the people that you want to go after. You don't want to go back after, you know, other people. So let's just create your buyer persona, and then we'll work off of that. And having a deep understanding of your buyer persona is really critical to driving content creation, even, you know, driving your product and service development. It's helpful for sales follow-up. Really anything that relates to customer acquisition and retention, buyer personas are going to help with. So why do we create buyer personas? Well, there's a few main reasons. One is it helps us create targeted content. Two, it helps us attract the right people to our website, the people that we want to talk with. Three, it helps you create content to solve the problems and challenges of our buyer personas. And then four, it attracts the right people with the right content at the right time. And that means giving a better experience and increasing your conversions. That's why we do these. So when we think about the buyer's journey and what someone cares about, you want to think about that each and every, you know, lead that you're speaking with goes through a journey to learn more about your company. And it's your job to facilitate this journey through helpful buyer-centric content. Again, you're there to not to sell them, you're there to help them solve their problems. So how you get your, how will you get your buyer persona's attention? You want to be thinking about the types of questions they have throughout that buyer's journey. The first one is, you know, first part of the buyer's journey, and I'll go over this in the next slide, is, you know, what questions are they asking? What are they complaining about? Where do they live online? Speak their language. And there are three stages of the buyer's journey, like I just mentioned. The first one is awareness. The second stage is consideration. And the third stage is decision. In awareness, the mindset of your prospect or lead is saying, I don't even know what my problem is, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So that's where they're at, is figuring out what this problem is. And your response to that is saying, hey, well, I created this content, and this should help you realize what your problem is. Now they know their problem, right? Move to consideration phase. Okay. They say, hey, I know what my problem is, and I am trying to figure out the best type of solution to solve it. The main question is, how should I solve this problem? The marketer's response really should be something along the lines of this. I need to create content that convinces our prospect that our type of solution is the best way to solve that for them. It's not that your company is. It's that whatever you're serving is the right service and the right product for them. So this is how you solve it. And then the decision phase is, okay, now they are aware. They know they want to go down with this, this type of service or product. Now we need to figure out who will help me do this the best. And the marketer's response will be, hey, I created this content, or I did this webinar, or whatnot. That proves that we are better than all of our competitors to deliver this type of solution, and this is why. And this is where that marketing and sales alignment really come in to play. So kind of taking this all together, your buyer personas are the people that you want to target. You have that buyer's journey that you go through. And the question then becomes, how do you target your buyer persona? And I'm going to hand it over to Janine to talk about the 3 ways that you can do so.
Thank you. Okay, so through Sophie's research, we can see that there's definitely a shift happening. People are using the internet way more to engage because it's physically impossible for them to engage in person. But one metric we didn't show is that paid advertising has basically crashed into a fiery blaze at this time as well. Less people are doing paid advertising because they simply don't have the budget, and or they're worried about, well, what's the next day going to bring? Can I afford to spend this money on paid advertising? So that's where a lot of us are at right now, which makes inbound even more important because this is a free way for us to boost that and get more credibility and get those leads finding us online. So I'm going to talk about 3 entry points, and we'll start with your website. So with the goal of meeting your buyers where they are, you need marketing initiatives on your website that make that a reality. Search engine optimization, also known as SEO, involves increasing not only the quantity of leads and traffic coming to your site, but you want the quality, right? So the more optimized your SEO, the better visibility you have online, and the more opportunities you're going to have to convert prospects into customers. If you're not sure where to begin with your SEO, HubSpot offers this free tool called the Website Grader. It's fantastic. You simply enter your URL and it spits back analysis on your SEO, on your site's mobile performance, which is also important and I'll bring up later, overall load times, all that great stuff. And what's really great about it is that if something is wrong with any major aspect, like we're seeing in this photo, like SEO is great across the board, what is making it 25 out of 30? That one issue happening with those descriptions. They give you that information so you can then go in and make those changes. And so this is a really great first step in analyzing your SEO and starting to make those tweaks to your website that are going to improve those conversions. And again, this is a free tool. I will share that link with you after the event, so no stress on that. Once you get the leads to your website, now you need forms that convert them. Here's a few best practices to keep in mind. First of all, keeping your landing page forms above the fold. And if you're not familiar with that term, all it means is when somebody loads a web page in the browser screen, whatever they're seeing initially when that browser page loads, that's above the fold. So if they have to scroll at all, you're not above the fold anymore. You want to get their attention right away, right at the top there when they get to your website. Reducing the number of fields. So most best practices will state that reducing the number of form fields is one of the best ways to increase conversion. However, like most things, it's not totally a black and white situation. You need to tailor the forms to the call to action that they're attached to. So for example, let's say you're having somebody download an ebook. Well, for that, you really would only want to ask for their name and email. You don't need a ton of information. However, if there's a specific service where your sales team needs more insight to qualify a lead, then maybe you're adding more fields. Maybe you want deeper information from that prospect, so when your sales team goes to follow up, they already have some information in their arsenal. So it's just about finding the right balance. Just use your common sense. Only ask for phone numbers at the right stage of the buyer's journey. ClickTail ran a test and they found that they lost 39% of user signups when they required a phone number. Phone numbers freak people out and they don't want to enter their phone number unless they believe there's a legitimate reason why they're entering it. This actually happened to me the other week. And the next point, summary boxes, that company did that and it worked out fine. I was filling out their form to buy something online and they asked for my phone number. And like most consumers, I paused and said, oh, no, I don't like that. But they had what's called a summary box, which can look different in different forms. But most of the time, it's that little gray circle with a question mark that's maybe above a form field. And if you hover over it, it expands into information about why they're requesting that from you. So that really helps users understand the need for certain information and feel more comfortable entering it. They told me they needed my phone number in case something happened with my shipping. Fair enough. I felt comfortable at that point, entered my phone number. Using Recaptchas and not Captchas. Recaptchas are these freaky deaky looking things down here in the corner that's X'd out with all those letters and numbers that you're not even sure what you're looking at as a human. So people find those, I can speak for it as well myself, just super annoying. If you get the opportunity to select in the types of forms that you're choosing, always choose Recaptchas instead of Captchas, because Recaptchas are just those little check boxes that say, I'm not a robot. Boom, that's easy. So that's just making it easier for that lead to convert. And then making your calls to action catchy instead of something boring like submit, like maybe sign me up or get the ebook, an action statement will help with that. So you also want to think about not only your web forms on your actual website, but mobile forms, because mobile traffic right now is higher than ever as well. Some things to keep in mind with that are single column layout, just so their eye can scan it easier. It's not taking up as much space on a cellular phone. Enabling autocorrect and autocomplete, such a lifesaver when you're doing your tiny little button pressing, and it just makes things so much faster. Easy to read font, self-explanatory. Don't ask people to retype their address. Here's why. Asking them to retype their address doesn't really guarantee that you're going to get validated information, because, raise your hand if this was you. I'm guilty. How often when you see that, do you simply copy and paste your email from the above line? I do it all the time. I'm terrible. So if I entered it wrong the first time, odds are it's not going to be right the second time after I copied and pasted it. So it's just kind of a waste. Instead, include error messages that flag issues in real time. So basically, let's say I'm entering a zip code and I don't enter enough numbers. If I go through the whole process of filling out your form on my mobile phone, and then I hit enter and it comes back blank and says, oh no, there was an error, it didn't go through, you didn't fix your zip code, that would be super annoying. So if in real time while I'm filling out that form, that warning comes up before I hit submit, that gives me the opportunity to fix that and not have to go through and re-enter all my information again. Okay, so the other thing about websites I want to touch on is website chat, which Sophie mentioned earlier. That is how people are engaging a lot right now. We just wrote a blog on this a few months ago called Using Website Chat for Lead Conversion. And in that blog, we detailed why website chat works and some best practices for using it. There's a lot of stats here. I'll let you read those yourself. But the one thing I really want to emphasize on this slide is that you do not need a huge team to implement website chat. All you need are a few dedicated employees who will oversee it daily during hours of operation. And then you just have to set up a chatbot for after hours, and that will catch any missed opportunities that might happen overnight if somebody comes in. Like with our chat, to be fair, setting up the chatbot takes a hot second, and you have to think about all the different ways that somebody might want to engage with you and how you would want to respond to that. But you could make a pretty basic chatbot that will collect their information. Let's say somebody has a support question. You could have them submit a form through the chatbot. The chatbot could then send that to the team, and in the morning, the team sees that and can respond. So it is possible to do chat without a huge team. And the one stat here that I'll also highlight is that just one reply through live chat can increase the likelihood of your conversions by 50%. The stat that's not there is the follow-up statistic to that, which says if you reply one more time after that, it's 100% more likely that visitor will convert. That's insane. And especially now, that's really, really important to be able to connect with your prospects and customers where they are, and they're on website chat. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is your blog. First of all, why does blogging matter? Well, blogging has evolved into this kind of encyclopedia of the internet. It's in part due to the nature of how we use the internet. So we use the internet to discover information all the time. Everything from, information when we're going to buy a house, to how to start a business, to how to make homemade candles. But not all posts are impactful. So we want to write our posts in a way that addresses our buyer personas, that educates and informs, and that helps them with something, like Sophie was saying earlier. Companies that blog receive 55% more web traffic than companies that don't. People are coming to their website to read the blog. In addition to that, companies that blog receive 67% more leads than companies that don't. So you have to think about why that happens. With a blog, there's more reason to go to the website because it's getting an answer to something, and that's tying into your attract portion of your flywheel. So as I mentioned earlier, paid advertising went down the tubes during this COVID situation. And that's because of budgets, but it's also because savvy marketers understand that paid advertising is great in the short term. But for the long term, you need sustainability. The effects of an ad campaign are time sensitive, and a blog on the opposite end of that is evergreen. It never stops working for you. So when done correctly, aka thoughtful blogging that engages your buyer personas with content they care about, it continually adds value and drives engagement. It's basically like the new SEO. So I want to highlight two specific tactics around blogging like a champ. You know your buyer personas, it's time to create content for them. So first we're going to touch on generating new blog ideas, because that's always a struggle, and then old blog updates. And you might be like, why should I do that? I'll explain. Also, one thing I would like to mention is let's say you don't have a blog. What if you're an army of one? Like an entrepreneur or a small startup, maybe you don't have a website, or maybe you just don't have a really active blog. You can still apply a lot of the concepts that I'm about to show you to publish your posts on someplace like LinkedIn or somewhere else where you have a community of traffic and you can build your individual brand. So just think about that as an alternate as well. Okay, so new blog ideas. We did this a while ago with Technology Advisors. We wanted to understand how people were finding us. And so we were thinking, well, what we need to first look at is our organic traffic. What are they already able to find us on based on what our website SEO is telling them? So if you use HubSpot, you are already blessed with a plethora of metrics that they aggregate for you, really rich and visual. However, if you don't have HubSpot, there's also this free tool by Neil Patel, again, a link I will share, that will help you do it, and I'll show you how. So as mentioned in HubSpot, this type of information will be in your website analytics section. But for Ubersuggest, which is what this tool is called, you first start by typing in your website URL, and it's going to kick back to you a lot of information about your traffic and your domain and all that stuff. But what we want to focus on is our organic keywords here. So when we look at our results, we want to pay attention to the position column. That column is showing us what position we're ranking for organically in Google search results. So we can see here that we're ranking a lot for industry-specific terms at Technology Advisors. CRM banking, CRM and banks, CRM for manufacturers, but we're not number one. And herein lies the opportunity. Because if we can optimize the content that we're already organically ranking for, that's an easy first step towards getting more leads to convert from our blog content. So if we click on one of these topics on the left, you can see on the right that there's an overview of other websites that are ranking for this term, and it shows how their pages are ranking. And so now we can get the wheels turning and think about, okay, let me click on these links. Let me see what their backlinks are. What are they talking about on these pages? What are they doing? The ones that are ranking well, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And so you can start to tie that in with the questions that people are asking on your buyer's journey. So a general example of that would be like, okay, let's say you want to be a leader on technology recycling. Oh, sorry, contact issues. Okay, in each stage of your buyer, in each stage of your buyer's journey, you're going to create a different type of content to read to that particular stage. So in the awareness stage, maybe you talk about reducing technology costs. In the consideration stage, you'd be comparing recycling technology with disposal. And in the decision stage, you're talking about choosing the right technology or recycling partner. So let's go back and apply this to our banking CRM idea. So how are we weaving this? If you're me, your technology advisors, and I'm seeing that banking CRM is ranking really well for us, now I want to think about how can I weave this in to what people are asking and where they are in their buyer's journey. So in the awareness stage, we're educating them, they're beginning their journey, they're not sure what they need. This initial blog post would be more of a 101 on what is CRM? Why do banks use it? What kind of results do they see? Are there any challenges? Giving them this general overview of what this is and why it might be beneficial to them. When you hit that consideration stage, now they know they need CRM, but they're not really entirely sure what to look for. So this post would be informing them of the essential features they should consider when picking the best CRM for their industry. And then finally in the decision stage, they're like, okay, I got the facts. I know I need CRM, but I literally don't even know who can help me. Well, and here in this stage, you're going to write a post highlighting maybe a success story from one of your clients, discussing how they excelled with their solution using your help. So you can see that real world example of how you can build that in using that keyword research. Speaking of topics, I would be remiss if I did not mention HubSpot's advice on topic clustering. So the idea of topic clustering is to write content focused on this one overarching content topic, which is called your pillar content, and that's what you see in that picture. But there are multiple content pages related to that same topic that all link to each other. And so the reason that you're doing that is because you're establishing yourself as a thought leader in the eyes of a search engine. So you have all this related content, and that to the search engine says, oh, wow, that person's an authority on this. They know what they're talking about. So for example, let's say your topic is fruit. Okay, maybe you have your pillar page about general stuff about fruit, and then you've got all these links coming off of the pillar page, a video on selecting the best fruit, a blog on the differences between fructose and glucose, a white paper on fruit distributors and their current market presence. So that can all be tied into this clustering of content. Now you may be thinking, okay, Deneen, that's cool at all. I like that, neato, but I literally don't have time to go and build all this much content right now. What else can I do? What can I do that's immediate, that'll get me results really fast? Well, understandable, I'm with you. Let's talk about updating your old blogs. If you're in a pinch or you're worried about the time or research it's going to take to create these new blogs or topic clusters, you can always start with updating your old blogs and optimizing them for conversions. And then the calls to action and valuable offers are going to come into play here, and I'll hit on that next. One of the easiest ways to know which blogs you need to prioritize is to use insights from your analytics. So if you use HubSpot, again, you already have those analytics at your fingertips. That's what that screenshot is showing. You can view all those metrics, your blog traffic, time on page, when it was published, all that good stuff. If you don't have HubSpot, you can do the same thing through Google Analytics by following these steps that I'm laying out here. What you want to do is filter your posts within at least the past 6 months, if not a year. A year is probably better. And look at which pieces of content are being hit on most consistently. Which of these should we prioritize to update and repost? And I'll give you an example. So When we looked at those metrics on our blog, I can see one right off the bat that would be a great candidate for us: the explosive impact of CRM 2018 and beyond. We can see from the analytics that this post is still performing very well 2 years later. Unique page visits are good, average time on page is good. That shows you if their time on the page is high, they're actually staying there and reading the content. So this is a great opportunity for us to update this post with 2020 or at this point 2021 statistics and republish it. And why do we do that? Well, part of Google's algorithm actually gives you weighs you with less authority as content gets older. So while your blogs are working for you, the more relevant and timely they are, the more Google weights them as being appropriate and helpful. So you want to keep it fresh to benefit your SEO, your marketing conversions, and your website traffic. But updating that content is just kind of step one. Step two comes into play when you're adding valuable offers or calls to action within it to boost conversions even further. So we'll get to that really quick, but additional blog advice just to wrap up. First of all, ideal blog post title length is 60 characters. Keep that in mind when you're writing your post because page title has a direct influence on your ranking. It's part of the algorithm that the search engine looks at. Long tail keywords. What the heck are those? Long tail keywords are keywords or key phrases that are more specific and usually longer than common keywords. So like, obviously in this example, how to write a blog post, that's considered a long tail keyword. That's going to get less traffic overall, but it's going to get more honed in traffic, more traffic that's looking for a specific answer to a question. And that's the type of traffic you want because you're not just blasting out your content into the atmosphere, you're trying to create something that's helpful to your defined buyer personas. And speaking of questions, that's the other point I would like to make about blogs. Consider having your blog post title answer a question. That's how people search. Think about how you search. I search like that all the time. Google understands how to take that question and shoot back the answers that people are looking for. And this is one of the core pillars of attracting website visitors. Now that we know who we're writing for and the challenges we're helping them overcome, we want to build that trust and that foundation of a lasting relationship, and we can do that by answering our readers' questions on our blog. And then I'll breeze right through this last one. Basically, just some quick tips is you want to make sure that you're formatting your blog post nicely, you're using relevant images, subheadings. The main thing I'll point out here is white space. White space is your friend. When you read a web page, and you probably unconsciously notice this, but now going forward, pay attention. When you're on a website blog and there's these big chunks of text, you kind of end up skimming most of it, right? If it's broken up a little bit more and there's more white space, your eye kind of naturally flows and it allows you to engage more with the content and it kind of pushes that reader through the experience. Use bullet points, use lists, use things that are attention grabbing, and that'll optimize the readability of your blog. Okay, so wrap up really quick. Relevant calls to action, valuable offers. You want to choose a relevant content offer to position with your post. So think about the kind of call to action or valuable content you can add to further intrigue and delight your targeted readers. Maybe it's a free checklist, maybe it's a white paper, maybe it's an invitation to join a webinar. The moral though is don't give away the farm for free. If you put a lot of hours into writing this super detailed white paper on something, it's okay to make that a gated content where you ask for somebody's email in order to give that to them, because it's a give for a get, and you're capturing and converting qualified leads that way because those people are obviously very interested in what that white paper has to say or what that ebook has to say, and that's a worthwhile lead. And then additionally, sending relevant content, promoting your content across your targeted social media channels. Again, tying this back in, if you don't have a website or you're publishing on LinkedIn, making sure that you're publishing at least once a week. Another thing you can do is harass all your coworkers like I do, where I will literally just copy the direct link to LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever it is. You can do that in the upper right-hand corner. There's those three little dots, and email it out to everybody, and made it really easy for them to share with their networks. And it's real quick, and it expands the reach of your audience, because now you're getting to audiences that maybe aren't already directly associated with your company. So in summary, helping your leads helps you. And I'm going to hand it back over to Sophie to wrap up. And like I mentioned, she's going to highlight some other important upcoming events that will further ignite these creative marketing juices.
Thanks so much, Deneen. That was awesome. I know there was a lot of information there, but take it all in. Offer really great content and promotional information around webinars or consultations or newsletters to provide value again. So if I were to say, all right, what were the key takeaways from today? This is kind of how I would boil it down. First one is, not surprisingly, COVID-19 has accelerated the need for a digital marketing strategy. If you don't have it, you are behind. You are already behind. Let's talk about how we can help you get up to speed. 2 is personalization. Personalization is king for each buyer persona. People want to be tailored to. They want to feel like, hey, this is relevant to me. So that is why personalization is so important. 3 is offer helpful information to identify and nurture the right leads, the right people who want to purchase your solution. 4 is make your website a magnet, not a billboard. Don't just have some information and then not have any sort of calls to actions or things that they can download or sign up for a webinar or an event or a consultation. Make it interactive so that people can actually interact with your site, and include a live chat in there. 5 is build a content strategy to be seen as an expert in your industry. If you're in the healthcare industry, be seen as an expert there. If you're in the manufacturing space, be seen as an expert there. 6 is to utilize live chat to converse with potential leads. Be human, right? Utilize that live chat. And then 7 really is to, like I just said, be human. Provide value. You can do that. That's going to build trust. And if you build trust, then all you got to do is really wait for the sales to come on in, because people are going to want to do business with you because you've made it A, so enjoyable, and B, so valuable. So we know we threw a lot at you. The one thing I will say is, if you're asking yourself, well, what tools can help me grow my digital marketing strategy? What company can help me? There's a lot of information and it's great, but I need to break it down. This is where technology advisors and HubSpot can come in, and we will help you increase your sales and show you just how. Here at HubSpot, we have an entire software that meets that strategy, that inbound methodology, to keep that flywheel spinning, to provide that really good experience. We have our CRM. We also have a marketing hub and a sales hub and a service hub. You can start with one. You can start with all. It's up to you. And we really, feel strongly that having an all-in-one and all-on-one platform for all of your customer-facing efforts is critical for you to grow better. So what does this mean for us? Well, there's a few things I want to touch on. Actually, next week, starting September 22nd and 23rd, we usually invite 30,000 people to Boston for our inbound conference. Obviously, this year, we cannot do that. So we are having our first ever virtual conference. This is going to be epic. It is going to be awesome. There are free passes that you can get to listen to some keynote speaking engagements, and or if you rather, pay a little bit of money to get even more information on best practices around digital marketing or sales or customer service or operations, whatever it might be, you can also purchase that. And then myself and Deneen are going to have another webinar on how to align sales and marketing for success. And that's going to be on October 14th at 2 p.m. Central. So first things first, let's get to inbound. You guys are going to love it. We have John Legend, Chrissy Teigen, Bob Eager, who is the executive chairman of Walt Disney. We got this chief product officer of Adobe. We have the VP of AWS, Sandy Carter, Amazon Web Services. So we have really great speakers that are so excited to help businesses grow better during this crazy time. And then you say, okay, all of this information is super, super helpful. But how does it relate to me, right? Well, Deneen and I, we're happy to schedule a free consultation to review what are your business goals, assess what are you doing currently for marketing, if anything, and what are your challenges around sales, and then even review your website, see how that's performing, and then give you recommendations for improvement so that you can hit your business goals, and also show you how you can hit those business goals by utilizing a platform like HubSpot to increase traffic, to convert leads, and ultimately to prove ROI so that you're meeting buyers where they are, which is online during times like these. So we have 2 minutes left. We have talking your ear off, but thank you so much for attending, and I'll hand it over to Deneen for the last, last couple of words here.
Thanks. Sorry. And I know, like I said, we had a lot to cover. We literally powered through this. So thank you for bearing with us. I'm sure I was talking a million miles a minute, but all this information will be sent out to you. If you have any follow-up questions or anything that you want more information on, this is Sophie and my, contact information. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. And as Sophie mentioned, we're happy to offer our insights and any help that we can. So thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe and healthy out there, and just enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take good care.